Hey, it's Jeffrey.
And Elizabeth.
And that is, of course, Frankston Pier, close by where we live. What number Devo are we up to today, Elizabeth?
19.
19. And as I always say,
That's
a lot of devotion.
In the book of James, chapter 2, we read, "And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God."
Today we are talking about an interesting subject, how to be friends with God. Our scripture reading said Abraham was a friend of God, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Today you are my friends." And there are 4 things you can do to build a friendship with God. Point number 1 is you can start with the fact that God likes you.
Abraham believed God.
It's a lot to ask that you believe that God actually likes you. And when he looks at you, you are made in his image.
We are creative. We add value with love. We live in community. We live by faith.
And God does all of that, and so do we. Point number 2 is this: accept God for who he is and stop trying to change him. There are some things about God that are a little uncomfortable.
God is jealous. God hates hypocrisy. God is never in a hurry. God has no favourites. God is gracious.
Now, the fact that God likes you is not disputed, but the question is, do you like God? Point number 3, let God help you help your friends. Now, this is the heart of the message.
Then Jesus said to them, "Suppose you have a friend and you go to him at midnight and say, 'Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread. A friend of mine on a journey has come to me, and I have no food to offer you.' And suppose the one inside answers, 'Don't bother me. The door is already locked, and my children and I are in bed. I can't get up and give you anything.' I tell you, even though he will not get up and give you the bread because of friendship, yet because of your shameless audacity, he will surely get up and give you as much as you need."
And when you pray to God, you can say to God, "God, if our friendship means anything to you, will you help me help my friend?" And you may have a friend who is in trouble and you need wisdom, or you want God to act sovereignly. Guess what? God is willing to do that. And the reason God is willing to do that is because he desires relationship. I know grandparents who pick up their grandkids, not because they have to, but they want to be involved in the lives of their children and their grandchildren. And Jesus is doing that to us.
And he said in Revelation chapter 3, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock."
But friendship requires work. That's point number 4. Friendship requires some hard work on our part and on God's part.
In Revelation chapter 3, verse 4, we read, "I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first."
And Jesus has been critical of the church at Ephesus because they had lost that first love. Daniel, of course, worked hard at his relationship with God.
Now, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room, where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before.
And I can just imagine Daniel walking down the road, looking at something like a tree or a river and saying, "God, you do good work." 3 times a day, he got on his knees and he invested in his relationship with God. And so this is what I want you to do. Make a commitment to spend at least 15 minutes alone with God every day.